Hey everyone, this is Cherry Ann Hortizuela Butal, and today I am going to discuss about Porter's 5 forces of competitive analysis. In 1979, Michael Porter was one of the founding father of business strategy. He published the article called How Competitive Forces Shape Strategy. In this article, he argued that we often viewed competition two-way narrowly, and as a solution came up with 5 basic forces that together shape the industry structure and determine the competitive intensity of the industry. In the end, these forces affect the long-term profit potential of the industry and therefore its attractiveness. The 5 forces can be considered an external analysis framework, similar to pestle analysis, and falls within this category and includes the following 5 forces. First, rivalry among existing competitors. Second, threats of new entrants. Third, the threats of substitutes, products, or services. Fourth, bargaining power of suppliers. Fifth, bargaining power of buyers. Before we go into each forces separately, it is important to understand that the main purpose of this model is to evaluate the root causes of profitability in an industry. Through the competitive forces, Porter's draws connection between competition on one hand and profitability on the other hand. If competitive forces in the industry are high or intense, the profit potential of a firm and that specific industry will decrease. Each of the 5 forces are able to affect the profit potential in the industry both positively and negatively. Let's start off with the middle section of the framework, the rivalry among existing competitors. This force of the 5 forces model examines how intense the competition is in the marketplace. This is, for example, determined by the number and size of existing competitors, the industry growth rate, product differentiation between rivals, and exit barriers. Threats of new entrants. New entrants in the industry brings new capacity and the desire to gain market share that puts pressure on prices, cost, and the rate of investment necessary to compete. Simply said, you'll have to share the pie with more players. The seriousness of the threats depends on the barriers to entry in the industry. The higher the barriers, the smaller chances the player will enter the playing field, and the smaller threats of existing rivals. Examples of barriers to entries are economies of scale, high customer loyalty for existing brands, large capital requirements, the need for cumulative experience, government policies, and limited access to distribution channel. If new competitors enter the industry, existing players might increase their investment or marketing in order to stay ahead of the game. The threats of substitute products or services performs the same or similar function as the industry products by different means. This essentially fulfill the underlying needs. Even though they may not look identical in the surface, they are therefore easy to overlook. The existence of this product alone increases the possibility that customers switch to alternatives. In order to identify this alternative, you should look beyond similar products or brands that differently buy competitors. Instead, every product that serves similar needs for customers should be taken into account. The number of substitutes, the willingness of customers to substitutes, and the relative price performance of substitute products are therefore factors that determine the total threats of substitute products. Now, we enter the middle section of this framework, the suppliers and the buyers. This section is basically illustrating the company's supply chain. Let's start off with the bargaining power of suppliers. This force analyzes how much power in control a company's supplier has over the potential to raise prices or to reduce the quality purchased goods or services, which in turn would lower the industry's profitability potential. The bargaining power of buyers. These forces analyzes to what extent customers are able to put a company under pressure by demanding better quality, thereby drive up cost or exert control over price. Thank you for listening, and once again, good morning.